cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages, create a report that you can use in court. Email revealer.com, 800-572-9762. Hey guys, if you like the show and you want to show your support, check out the Opperman Report Patreon. We have all the shows that you hear Monday through Friday on AM/FM radio, but we cut out the ads, so you can hear that content ad-free. The Opperman Report Patreon, you should stop there once a day and check out what's going on over there. That's Opperman Report Patreon.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay. Welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. Just go to my email address, oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. Get a hold of me there. You can find all our past shows at Spreaker.com. I do a live show every Friday night at Spreaker.com. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Friday nights. Plus, we play repeats there all week long. And on Friday nights, we put up 2 hours of brand new content. Tonight, we have the last 2 hours with, or I can mix it up if someone wants to come to the chat room and argue with me. The last 2 hours of Mr. Captain Pink, who is the brother-in-law of Jim Morrison. You know, you wonder why no one's gotten this guy before. He's out there. He's got a lot of interesting info. But no. That's too much work. That's too much trouble. Trying to talk to someone actually involved and stuff like that. I'll just research and read a book and tweet about it. And he was also mixed up with all those bodyguards and hitmen and CIA and Mitch Rebell and Bill Menser and Bill Ryder, Alex Marti, the torturer guys. What a cast of crew Flint had around him, man. But what's his name there? Captain Pink. Alan Graham was right there in that mix. So we taped 3 hours with Captain Pink. The first hour was mostly about Jim Morrison and the Doors. And we got into some exclusive information I've never heard before about Jim Morrison and his relationship to the Admiral. And you got to listen carefully. You got to listen carefully. There's a little sparring going on here with Mr. Pink, Captain Pink. He's not going to come right out. Although he does come right out and admit some stuff. I don't want the guy to get in any trouble. But he does come right out and say some stuff. So that'll be 2 hours of that tonight. It's up in our Patreon right now, too, along with some Larry Flint documents that we discussed. I discussed with Captain Pink. There's another batch I have to locate and find and repost and put up there with these interviews that are more related to the assassination attempt of Mitch Rebell. Because, I don't know, man. All this stuff is out there. And it doesn't seem like people want to talk about it, though. Taped an interview this week, too, with this author. Very nice guy. I don't have the book in front of me. But he wrote a book about, I guess it's Charles Starkweather. Remember that movie Badlands with Martin Sheen and Sissy Spacek, where they go around, they shoot everybody, they shoot her parents, and they're killing all these people. This shooting spree. Well, this is the real story of the guy that story's based on. I had no idea, but Starkweather met this girl when she was only like 12 years old. And they put this kid in prison for 17 years. She was only like 14 when with his killing spree took place. She had just turned 14. 14. This guy was 18. So it just goes to show you, man, she couldn't consent to be with this man. She couldn't consent to go on a road trip with this guy. So a lot of his new book gets into the, what's her name? Carol Fugate. That's an interesting little show there for you. I do need help. If you can help me find some guests, man, I need help. If you can give me suggestions. I don't like to interview YouTubers or podcasters. I know a lot of people think, well, Ed, there's this other podcaster, this other YouTuber, and he's just like your personality. You two would get along great. I gotta have something that I'm interested in that I have to ask this person. I have to have interesting questions in order for there to be an interesting dialogue. And people send me some of these names. I don't know what show you've been listening to for the past 10 years, but I would have no questions for anybody about COVID or vaccines or masks or any kind of nonsense. But I have no questions about that. Okay, I know a lot of people are really obsessed with that and they're really triggered by it. But I have no interest in that, Has to be an interesting topic, or at least a fun topic, something interesting. Interviewing somebody else about how, they Google information and then, talk about it on their podcast. That's, very little fun in that for me. I like the people really involved. Okay. The people really involved. That's what I like to talk about. But if you can help me book some guests, that'd be a big help. It's hard keeping up with all I got to do here. And, last week's show, I really apologize for last week's Friday night show, man. But it's just been really hectic around here. In fact, I didn't even know today was Friday. I thought today was Thursday. So I've been preparing notes all week long because it's been such a busy week with all the Trump litigation. But there was some drama here. I know I came on, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about how, I had these guests staying over, and it was so much fun to have these guests. And it was. It was really nice having people here, intelligent people I could speak to. Hey, what's up, Kat? Company, going out, doing stuff, different restaurants and things. But there was, with everything comes drama, And so my friend from Nevada was taking this road trip around the country, just driving around. Her van broke down in Florida, and that's how we reconnected back here. I said, okay, let's just stay here until you can work for a couple of weeks, doing house cleaning jobs and stuff like that. I can help you get a bunch of jobs. And you can help me here with my work, and you get a free place to stay, until you can save up to get your either van fixed or get her to a new vehicle or some kind of plan. Because she wanted to make it over to the Rainbow Gathering over there in Arizona. Oh, no, it's like the Love Festival, I think they call it there. Because right now, currently here in, hey, Mac, what's up? Currently here in Florida right now, there's a Rainbow Gathering in Ocala. But from what I understand, it's not like the happy hippie rainbows. These are like some pretty serious drug addicts down there, getting into some pretty hairy confrontations and things out there in these National Preserve in Ocala. I know exactly where it is. It's kind of hush-hush, but I know where it is. So anyway, there was this, and so she was here, and then her friend was in Florida too, so they were going to team up together and make this trip back to Arizona with a third friend of theirs who lives down here in Florida. So, okay, fine, and, the friend could stay over a couple of days too, as they're getting ready to leave. But, there's got to be a limit how many people, could move in with you here. And what happened is the last night, the Thursday before they were going to leave, I had these tickets to an event out here. I'm a part of this art exhibit facility here. I'm a member of them, and so they were having a launch party of a new exhibit, and I was invited to. It's usually on a Friday, but this time it was on a Thursday. We could go. So they said, Ed, we want to thank you for, helping us get these jobs and putting us up here. So we're going to take you out to dinner, and then we can go to this launch party, right? So then this is, but our friend Scott wants to come too. Okay, and Ed, you're going to love me. So much fun. Oh, Scott's the most wonderful guy in the world. I can't believe I'm telling this story. Okay. But so, you know, okay, so I got the tickets for free because I'm a member. Plus, I got a couple more tickets because I'm in the press. So, but for some strange reason, Scott brings a date with him. Okay. So now there's 5 of us. 5 of us don't fit in the car. I only have 4 tickets to go to this thing, and it appears Scott didn't pay for anything for dinner. The dinner was a gift to me, you know, a free dinner from me. I chipped in for the what do you call it, the tip, you know. But Scott, man, shows up with no money, and he brings a date with him, and now he has no money to bring his date into the thing. It was just like, you know, like a real disaster. And then I guess, you know, there was, I guess, a little romance in the air with planning with Scott. I don't know what the deal with that was. Which all seemed to fall through as well. So there was a bit of drama with this fun little visit. By the way, too, I don't know if I encircle this whole story, but my friend Megan from Vegas, the way I met her, I told this story on the air years and years and years ago, that me and Vic used to, Vic was little, man. She was like 6 years old, 7 years old. And I was at the supermarket, and this woman was asking one of the guys who worked at the supermarket, hey, where do you get those little tea lights? And the guy goes, well, the tea section's over here. Coffee and tea's over here. And she's going, no. They're little candles. Tea lights, they're called. They're little candles. And he goes, oh, the candles are over here. And he sends it to the religious candle section, you know, the Santa Maria. And so I hear her talking to this guy, and I says, excuse me, I know exactly what the tea lights are. Just come with me. I don't work here, but you know, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, I'll show you where they are. Because I knew where they were. They were like in a package hanging on a hook. They weren't in a candle section. They might have had more over at the candle section, but I knew where this was. And so she goes, oh, you know, we're talking, we're walking into the thing. I said, this kid's not going to know what a tea light is. You know? He has no clue. Because tea lights are those little kind of can you put on dinner tables, you know. And she was having a dinner party. So she starts, you know, we start talking, you know, you know, someone comes up, you know, a private investigator, you know. I start telling my whole life story, everybody I meet. And she goes, oh, I'm having a dinner party. And, you know, it's unlucky to have an odd number. She starts telling me, why don't you come to the dinner party? She says, you can meet my friend. She's single. And, oh, my God, okay. So back in those days, you didn't have Facebook on your phone, so she gives me this woman's Facebook page and her Facebook page. And when I get home on my laptop, I 2 minutes. Oh, well, very attractive woman. I'll go to this dinner party. Why not free food, right? Vic's not here tonight. I'll go. And so I went there and I met her and her husband and these other couples and stuff like that. It was a very good time. And something happened. I guess I became close to her and her husband. They're no longer married now. And there was this family who, when I would be driving to the supermarket from our house there, I'd see this family, this dad and this mom, and they have like 4 kids, you know, and they'd be walking this long distance, you know, it was like a couple of miles to get to the supermarket and walk back, and the dad would be pulling the kids in a wagon. So after passing his family back, you know, 3 or 4 times I see him in a week, I pulled over and said, hey, you guys need a ride. I see, you know, I got the whole clan out here, man. You need a ride? And the guy was so happy. He said, oh, yeah, take my wife and take the kids, man. I'll walk. But just take them, you know. Such a cool guy, you know. And then other times I would see just the mom, or I'd see just him, and I could, it wasn't the whole bunch. I could give them a smaller ride. And we got to know them and their situation, that they were traveling down from Northwest Oregon or Washington, one of those places. And their car broke down, and now they were stuck here. They're staying at a budget suites down here in Las Vegas. And they can't get back to their people and their jobs back in the Northwest because they got all these kids. You know, you can't buy plane tickets for 5 kids. You know, couldn't rent a car, didn't have a credit card. All those kind of problems. And so I was telling my friend Megan about this and her husband, and she says, well, let's rent a car and drive them. And she actually did that. She rented a van, a minivan, and she drove this family back to their relatives and their friends and stuff like that, back up to the Northwest up there where they can get back with their families and where they had jobs waiting for them. This is the kind of woman she is. She's a cool person. You know, not just stopping people in the supermarket to make friends with strangers, but also to, helping this poor family. And then here she is now just traveling around the country with the Rainbow family and stuff like that, left her husband behind, and out there on an adventure. So I figured I'd tie that in because I wanted to get into more of this story last week. I was feeling like crap last week. I feel like crap this week today too, man, as a matter of fact. I just actually put the air conditioner on, trying to get a little blood flowing through me here. So, I was talking, I came on here because I was telling you about my friend who was covering the E. Jean Carroll trial. No, not the E. Jean Carroll trial. Covering the $250 million fraud trial in Manhattan. And how my friend told me, says, everyone talks about it here, that Trump has this body odor. He has this horrible odor about him. And we think it's because of incontinence. And I did a whole show about this incontinent to stand trial instead of incompetent to stand trial. I think he's both, though. And if you remember, back in those days, before I mentioned this, no one was talking about Trump and the body odor and diapers. No one was talking about this, whatever. I brought that up weeks before anybody was talking about it. I'm not saying that I'm the people heard me talking about it, and they started talking about it. But I told you before it was out there in the general public. And I think it was. It's gotten more out there in the general public because of the specific odors on a few days there at that trial that were really, really bad. That people couldn't even sit next to him. They were turning their heads. It was a very awkward situation in the hallway there. So I told you about this before anybody. Then everybody in the world's talking about it. But then how many times does that happen? Okay, that happens all the time right here. Last week, I told you about Alan Weisselberg, okay, which is Trump's longtime chief financial officer. He's the guy that signs all the checks and handles everything financial around Trump. He knows where all the bodies are buried for years and years and years and years and years. He just got out of jail. The guy's 80 years old. Just got out of jail for Trump-related crimes. Okay, and we're supposed to be hearing, it's supposed to be on January 31st, the last day of January. Judge Aragon was supposed to give his ruling on what the damages are, how much Trump is going to have to pay, and what his penalties are going to be for this fraud trial here, this Letitia James $250 million fraud trial, which is now up to $370 million she's asking for. Plus, he's already been suspended from doing any kind of business in New York, but that's being paused upon appeal. So Aragon was supposed to come out with this. He says, I'll give you this ruling before March 1st, February 1st. Right? I'm doing my Aragon impersonation. I don't know what he really sounds like, but that's what I imagine he sounds like. But then suddenly when the day comes and goes, and now we start hearing whispers in the background, no, it's not going to be until mid-February. And this story comes out about how Alan Weisselberg is about to plead guilty to perjury in this case. He's in perjury negotiations before the judgment, before the ruling is in. Extremely unusual. I don't think there's ever been a case where people are already pleading guilty to perjury and the ink's not even dry on the ruling yet in the case. I don't even know if you can do that. I guess he did swear, he did perjure himself, so I guess that's on the record. So when I heard this, and then I'm having a heart attack. But no one else is talking about it. So I said, well, Ed, maybe you're going crazy. Maybe, you're overreacting. You're watching too much Trump. because, I constantly hear about how I have Trump derangement syndrome and I'm obsessed with Trump. So much so that I was told yesterday when the Supreme Court was hearing arguments about the 14th Amendment in the Colorado case of keeping Trump off the ballot in Colorado. People were saying to me, well, Ed, you must be so disappointed that it looks like the Supreme Court is going to block that removal from the ballot. No, I'm not. I listened to that trial. I watched that trial in Colorado to keep Trump off the ballot down there. And then I watched them when it was before the Colorado Supreme Court. I watched those hearings too. That was about another 5 days. And I agreed with the Colorado State Supreme Court that Trump should be taken off the ballot in Colorado. All those arguments centered around, was it an insurrection? Did he encourage the insurrection? And does the Colorado Constitution say that if you violated the 14th Amendment, you can't be on the ballot? So I agreed with all that. I also agree with the Supreme Court. The ruling hasn't come back yet, but what it appears to be is about to come back is that the state of Colorado cannot make a decision in a federal election in this manner, and the federal government, the Congress, would have to pass a law to cover this type of situation that would cover the state of Colorado. And I've got no problem. I agree with that ruling. Okay, I'm not hoping for rulings that are going to. I like the ruling to be on the law, okay, and the facts. I think, believe it or not, I think that's important. And I think that's more important than my candidate that I like or my candidate that I hate. Winning or losing these cases. So I'm fine with that ruling. And when I heard, though, that about this perjury of Weisselberg before the ink is even dry, and that Aragon is postponing his ruling on that case till all this is settled. And so since then, he sent an email to the prosecutor and to the Trump's attorney saying, hey, I got to know what's going on here. What's going on here? And Alina Habba, this crazy Trump lawyer, man, who's so over her head, she's already been admonished and had to pay fines in all these different cases, writes back to the judge saying, well, I've talked to my ethics attorney, and I'm not allowed to talk to you about any charges with Mr. Weisselberg. She never says, I don't know anything about any perjury. I did not knowingly put this man on the stand knowing he was perjuring himself. She never addresses that whatsoever. And it's glaring by its omission. And what grounds could her ethics attorney tell her that she's not allowed to discuss her witness, who may or may not have committed perjury before this judge? What could there be that would prohibit her from discussing them? If you're accusing my witness of perjury, I want to talk about that, okay? All right? So I don't know where that comes from. It's just so bizarre. And why this is in headline news and everyone talking about this. That's enough. If Trump suborned and his attorneys suborned perjury, that's enough to get him off the ballot and put this guy in prison. People go to jail for that all the time, bringing fake evidence into court and fudging up witnesses and stuff, man. That's no joke. Big lawyers get disbarred for that all the time. I know the majority of reasons lawyers get disbarred or disciplined is escrow accounts, okay? They can't keep their mitts off that escrow account. But they all do it. They all seem to get away with it. They juggle that and they get away with it, okay? So not a lot of oversight, which would be a simple thing to have some oversight in these escrow accounts, okay? All right. No offense to any attorneys out there. But when I was 25 years old, I've told this story before. I was walking through the supermarket. This woman says she wants... Oh, no, it's a different story. I was 25 years old. My girlfriend was 35. My best friend was 55. My girlfriend was getting a divorce. And in her divorce case, her ex-husband's attorney faked up an affidavit. They took an affidavit from my girlfriend's landlord, and they added a paragraph after she signed it. It was notarized on the last page. And it was even a bad copy-paste job, okay, with this forged affidavit. We went to this woman, me and one of Bo Dietl's guys. We went to this woman. We were all wired up, the recording devices on us. And we got her to admit on recording that she did not sign that affidavit. They added in 2 paragraphs or another page or something like that. It was outrageous what they tried to do. And we got this attorney disbarred. So now it's not a simple matter to get an attorney disbarred either. It's not as easy as people think. A lot of times potential client will come to me and they're complaining about their last lawyers. Oh, when I filed a complaint with the Bar Association. You got to really know what you're doing if you're going to file a complaint with the Bar Association. You have to lay out your case just like it's a motion, like you're filing a complaint. This is what happened. These are the guidelines and statutes under the Bar Association Code of Ethics that were violated, blah, 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 blah. This is how we did it. This is the remedy we're seeking. You got to do all that right. You're not just sending a letter, and it's just so fascinating how people will just say, "Oh, I filed a complaint with the Bar Association. And, can I see it? Can I see what you did? And I can give you a little help with that. Can I say, oh no, they never really did it. They just say they did it. It's just so bizarre. The weird stuff when you're dealing with people and their personal problems and their crises is just the weird stuff that goes on. Okay. Okay. We're never done. Okay. Now, another thing, too, that's driving me crazy here is when people don't like one of these rulings, like they don't like the E. Jean Carroll ruling, or they don't like this ruling in this fraud case, and they say, well, that's going to be thrown out on appeal. That's going to be overturned on appeal. Because it's such a ridiculous. It's so stupid and it's so ridiculous. It's just going to be overturned on appeal. And Trump is saying that he's going to appeal this $83 million judgment in the E. Jean Carroll case. He's going to appeal. So, how does this work? An appeal, okay, you file an appeal with the appellate court saying, hey, listen, in our case here, the judge made some errors. And if we could reverse these errors, we think we could have been found not guilty. Or we think we could have been found with lesser sentence, a lower sentence, or a lower financial judgment. So you write up that appeal. First, by the way, before you can even do that, when the error occurs in the courtroom, the attorney has to file a motion right then and there that the objecting to that ruling. And you make an oral objection, and then you make a written objection right there in court. Now, from what I understand, this Alina Habba wasn't very meticulous in this, so there's going to be very few errors or potential errors that were preserved for appeal. Okay? Now, you file the appeal, you point out all these errors that were in the case, right? And the appellate court has to accept your appeal to even hear your appeal. They don't accept every appeal that comes to them. Someone just rubber stamped right away. No, we don't overturn anything with this judge. That's just we like this judge. He's a good judge. You know, we're not even looking at your thing. Okay, which man, trust me, that stuff happens all the time. You know, but let's say the errors were correctly preserved by the Trump counsel. They bring it to the appellate court. The appellate court agrees to hear their case. Only 13% of those are then granted an appeal. When that appeal is granted, it doesn't mean automatically that the case is thrown out or whatever. The appellate court sends you back to the original judge with the cure for those errors. Might be a new trial. Might, you know, or sometimes, you know, if it's a criminal case, the prosecution says, well, you know, we're not going to try this case again. We're just going to give up. But that's only in 13% of the cases, man. Do you even get that? Okay? And that's 13% of the cases that where appeals are filed. When defendants lose a case, they don't file appeal every single time. It's maybe 30% even try to appeal. So we're talking about 13% of those. Okay, of the 30%. So this idea that these are going to automatically get overturned on appeal it's such a low percentage of cases to even successfully get an appeal, you know, and then even then. The cure for that error may not be a new trial. It may be substantially less, okay? So this whole craziness about it, it's all going to be overturned on appeal. No, man. He's got a huge uphill battle here. Once you've lost, and once you're losing over and over and over again, like, you know, there's a certain thing called legal momentum, you know, and every time you're walking into the courtroom, you're getting your ass handed back to you, man, by these different judges all over the place, you know, and your attorneys are being laughed at and, you know, made a fool of. It's very hard, you know, to have the kind of steam and momentum to keep these things going, you know, and you know, when you see his attorneys like Joe Tacopina resigning like a week before the trial starts. Let's see here. Well, the special counsel, H-U-R, this fellow working for the Department of Justice, puts out a report on why they're not going to prosecute Joe Biden for his possession of these classified documents. You know? And they slip in there these comments, well, he's just a stuttering old fool. You know, Joe Biden is such a senile, incompetent mess that no jury would convict him. He would just come off like a doddering old man. You know, you can't, this is so outrageous. And it's not because it's Joe Biden. I like Joe Biden. I would say this about anybody. The prosecution, Department of Justice, can't come out and say, hey, you know, we're not going to pursue charges against, they're guilty. This is a guilty prick. This guy's a piece of garbage. Or he's a silly old man. He's a doddering. You can't put that in a, it's either, hey, man, we decline to charge, you know. There's just not enough there. You can't start insulting the person and their competency, man. That's just so bizarre. Like, and especially when you have like the President of the United States involved in that. Like 5 years ago, that this would be unheard of, you know, 5 years ago. But now this is just like all over the place, man. Like all of our institutions are just crumbling right before our eyes. I got this thing tonight just right before we hit the air. It's a text message between Roger Stone and Joel Greenberg. Remember Joel Greenberg, the guy from Florida that I talk about all the time, he was the tax collector, and then he put the IEDs in his front lawn, and he had to stand off with the police, and he says, "Oh, I'm going to be dope sick. You're not going to search my house." And the cops are joking about how they caught him talking to little kids on the computer, and then, he was sex trafficking these young girls. There's text messages here between him and Roger Stone, okay, where he's negotiating, trying to purchase a pardon from the President of the United States for $250,000. Today is the day we know by the end of the day. I think you sent me some document, but it disappeared. I hope you are prepared to wire me $250,000 because I'm feeling confident. Then you got Joel Greenberger here, January 21st. And while I have not heard any communications with MG, Matt Gaetz, he absolutely has to know that the sex charges they hit me with would be what they would hit him with. And he has to do is explain to POTUS the situation and his exposure, and it should be very easy to do. MG is like a son to POTUS. MG is like a brother to me. This is Joel Greenberger, who's sitting in prison right now. What 10 years he's getting, whatever. Stone says back to him, "Have you attempted to communicate this to MG? To MG? No, I need you to do this. That's what I'm paying you for, Mr. Stone. Honestly, I would have thought MG would have reached out to me or tried through a third party. You need to stress to him the severity of all this. One conversation with POTUS, and he can get this done, and it all goes away." But Roger, come the 21st, I have to do what's best for me and my family. I got to talk, bro. I know you understand. This is my life. I've got 2 young kids. I got women to rape. I got money to steal. You think MJ is going to come visit me at prison? If you get $250,000 in Bitcoin, would that help? Or is this not a financial matter? These pardons were going for $2 million. And this guy could have came up with $2 million. This Greenberger, man, his dad was rich. His family was rich. Anyway, so that's some of the stuff that came out tonight. So, by the way, that should be enough, right? What happened to the days when there was a scandal of the President of the United States, former campaign manager, being offered a bribe of $250,000 to get a pardon for a guy sitting in prison for sex crimes, and talking about his buddy, this sitting congressman? Hey, if I talk, he's going to be sitting in here with me. Here's $250. Get me out of here. There was a time this would be front page news. Not that long ago. There would be a time that there would be hearings, it'd be an investigation, $250,000, what's going on here? If change the names on here, if one of these people's name was Hunter Biden, this would be all over the Fox News 24 hours a day. Just one guy was named Hunter. Not even the same Hunter Biden, just Hunter. Okay? Tad Hunter. Eddie Hunter. Let me look at this. I got to get out of here. I can't do this anymore. I got to get out of here. This is so hopeless, man. This makes no difference, man. All the stuff I'm talking about here, it just goes in one ear and out the other, man. People they get it all wrong. They don't understand what I'm talking about. And it just makes no sense because they hang on every word I say. And then they just can't, they don't understand. I don't know what to do anymore. And even still, is this really doing any good, man? I got these 2 big guests, Bill Hamilton and Captain Pink. No one cares. No one gives a damn. I made this joke. There was this thing on Instagram about how distilled water for babies has all these chemicals in it. And look, this is a store in Ocala, Florida. And so one of the comments was, well, what's going on over there in Ocala? And I says, that's where the submarine base is that was visiting Epstein Island 3 times a day. Right? And like 150 people, that's right, there were the submarines going around. People thought I was being serious with that crazy comment. and they'll take that serious. But here's a guy wanting to pay $250,000 for a pardon because they're raping kids. And I want a pardon for that from Matt Gaetz and from the president, from you, Roger Stone. Here's $250,000 in Bitcoin. Can you get me out of prison for raping kids? Eh? You'll do it, right? But they want to believe all this fantasy stuff. Oh, God. You know what? I might be too sick to continue. I feel pretty crappy, man. The only other things I could really talk about is that Tucker Carlson Putin interview. Let me see what we got over here. Yeah, I think we might be out of notes. Or at least I don't want to go into these whole things with a long... If there's something short I can give you real quick, I'll do that. But otherwise I'll end early and we'll play those two shows there, the Captain Pink, Jim Morrison's brother-in-law, who also worked for Larry Flint. Oh, O.J. Simpson has cancer. Did you hear that? He's getting chemotherapy in Vegas. Man, it looks horrible. It looks really bad. Let's see how we're doing here. 42. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I need to rest. If you're out there and you can help me suggest some guests for me, man, you know, someone legit, you know, an author, you know, filmmaker. There's this new documentary film out about the assassination of John Lennon that I'm hearing has some good little clues in there too. And we're gonna have to take a look at that and figure what's going on over there. Oh boy, yeah. I don't feel good at all. All right, but so I need help with guests, and I still need help with those TikToks, man. Yeah, I don't know what to do anymore. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel pretty crappy, but sorry about that. All right, guys. Good night.
I remember when I was a little girl and our house caught on fire. I'll never forget the look on my father's face as he gathered me in his arms and rushed through the burning building on the pavement. And I stood there, shivering in my pajamas, and watched the whole world go up in flames. And when it was all over, I said to myself, is that all there is to a fire? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friends, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze and have a ball. If that's all there is. And when I was 12 years old, my daddy took me to the circus, the greatest show on earth. There were clowns and elephants and dancing bears, and a beautiful lady in pink tights flew high above our heads. But as I sat there watching, I had the feeling that something was missing. I don't know what, but when it was all over, I said to myself, is that all there is to the circus? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friends, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze and have a ball. If that's all there is. And then I fell in love with the most wonderful boy in the world. We'd take long walks down by the river, just sit for hours gazing into each other's eyes. We were so very much in love. And then one day, he went away and I thought I'd die. But I didn't. And when I didn't, I said to myself, is that all there is to love? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friend, then I know what you must be saying to yourselves. If that's the way she feels about it, why doesn't she just end it all? Oh, no, not me. I'm not ready for that final disappointment. 'Cause I know, just as well as I'm standing here talking to you, that when that final moment comes and I'm breathing my last breath, I'll be saying to myself, is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friends, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze